My son said proudly. My wife put her in her place so she'd finally shut up. Then my brother. I'm going to tell you something I should have said out loud 67 years ago, on the day I was born and looked around at my family for the first time. I should have screamed it then and every day after. I deserve better than this. But I didn't. And that's how I ended up standing in front of 32 people on my birthday with a bruise the size of a plum circling my left eye, wearing a silk scarf I'd tied 3 times that morning, trying to make it stay in place, trying to hide what my daughter-in-law had done to me. My name is Eleanor Hayes. I'm 67 years old. I live in Portland, Oregon, in a house I've owned outright for 8 years, since my husband died and left me alone with a mortgage I paid off in 11 months by working double shifts at the flower shop and eating nothing but oatmeal and canned soup. I drive a 2014 Honda Civic with a dent in the passenger door from where I backed into a shopping cart in 2019. I wear the same 6 outfits on rotation because I buy clothes maybe twice a year, always on clearance, always at Target. I look poor. I act poor. I've spent 8 years making sure everyone believes I'm poor, and it worked. It worked so well that my own son stood in front of me 2 days ago and said, "Mom, you're being selfish. You're sitting on a house worth almost $700,000 while Vanessa and I are drowning. Don't you think it's time you helped your family?" He said it like I owed him. Like the 42 years I spent raising him, feeding him, clothing him, putting him through college. Like none of that counted because I hadn't handed him a house. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about October 12th, 2024, my 67th birthday. The day everything changed. I woke up that morning at 6, like I always do. The house was cold. Portland in October feels like the city's trying to warn you that winter's coming whether you're ready or not. I made coffee in the same Mr. Coffee machine I've had since 1998. Poured it into the mug Marcus gave me for Mother's Day when he was 9. White ceramic with "World's Best Mom" painted in crooked blue letters that have faded to almost nothing. I sat at my kitchen table, the one my husband and I bought at a garage sale in 2003, and I looked at the calendar on my phone. One notification: dinner at Vanessa's, 6 gal p.m. No happy birthday mom text from Marcus. No card in the mail. Just a calendar reminder for a dinner I hadn't even agreed to attend, scheduled by a woman who 2 days earlier had shoved me so hard against a doorframe that my head bounced off the wood and my vision went white. Let me tell you about that. 2 days before my birthday, I'd gone to Marcus and Vanessa's apartment to drop off groceries. I do this every Sunday. I buy an extra $60 or $70 worth of food at Safeway: chicken breasts, pasta, canned tomatoes, coffee, the expensive kind Marcus likes, and I drive it over to their place in the Pearl District, a neighborhood where every apartment building looks like it was designed by someone who thinks poor people don't deserve windows. They live in a 2-bedroom on the 14th floor. Rent is $2,800 a month, which I know because Marcus told me once when he was drunk at Thanksgiving and complaining that Portland was unlivable. I didn't ask how he afforded it on his marketing manager salary, which I know is somewhere around $70,000 a year before taxes. I didn't ask because I didn't want to hear the answer, but I knew. Deep down, I knew. I knocked on the door that Sunday, holding 2 canvas grocery bags that cut into my palms. Vanessa answered. She was wearing yoga pants and a cropped sweatshirt that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Her blonde hair pulled into a ponytail so tight it looked painful. "Oh," she said, not even pretending to smile. "You're here." "I brought some groceries for you and Marcus," I said, holding up the bags like evidence. She didn't take them. She just stood there, one hand on the doorframe, blocking my way. "Eleanor," she said. She never calls me Mom. Never. "We need to talk." "Of course," I said. "Can I come in?" She sighed like I'd just asked her to donate a kidney and stepped aside. The apartment was a mess. Not dirty exactly, but cluttered. There were shopping bags on the couch, Nordstrom, Anthropologie, places I haven't stepped foot in since my husband was alive. There was a stack of delivery boxes by the door, Amazon labels peeling off. The kitchen counter was covered in takeout containers. I set the grocery bags down on the counter next to a half-eaten container of pad thai that smelled like it had been sitting there for days. "Where's Marcus?" I asked. "Out," Vanessa said. She crossed her arms. Eleanor, we need to talk about your house. My stomach dropped. I twisted my wedding ring, the thin gold band I've worn for 43 years. 8 of them as a widow. It's a nervous habit. My husband used to hold my hand when I did it, press his thumb over the ring to stop me. Nobody does that anymore. What about my house? I said. You're living alone in a 3-bedroom house in Belmont. Do you have any idea what that property is worth? It's my home, I said. It's an investment, Vanessa said. And you're wasting it. She started pacing, her arms still crossed, her voice getting louder. She told me Marcus and I needed to have a serious conversation about my financial situation. She said I was being irresponsible by not downsizing. She said if I really cared about Marcus, I'd sell the house, split the money, and move into a senior living facility. A senior living facility? I repeated. They're very nice now, she said. My grandmother lives in one. She loves it. I'm 67, Vanessa. I'm not dying. Her face changed. It was subtle, but I saw it. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes went cold. You're being selfish, she said. And that's when I made my mistake. I said, Vanessa, I know you and Marcus are struggling financially. If you need help, we can talk about— We don't need your help, she snapped. We need you to stop being a burden. A burden? You're sitting on almost $700,000 while your son can barely make rent. That was a lie. I knew it was a lie because I'd been secretly supplementing Marcus's rent for 2 years, transferring $1,800 a month into his checking account from my savings, telling him it was a windfall from his father's old life insurance policy that I'd just discovered. He never questioned it. He just took the money, but I couldn't say that, not without revealing everything. So I said, Vanessa, that house is all I have left of your father-in-law. It's where Marcus grew up. She stepped closer. I could smell her perfume, something floral and expensive. It's a pile of wood and nails, she said, and you're choosing it over your own son. I'm not choosing anything over— That's when she shoved me. It wasn't a push. It was a shove, 2-handed, right in the center of my chest. I stumbled backward into the doorframe. My head hit the wood. I heard a crack. Not my skull, thank God. Just the sound of bone meeting something harder. My vision went white, then gray, then black for a second. When I opened my eyes, Vanessa was standing over me, breathing hard. Get out, she said. I got out. I didn't tell Marcus. I didn't tell anyone. I went home, locked the door, and stood in my bathroom staring at my face in the mirror. The bruise started forming within an hour. By the next morning, it was purple and swollen, spreading from my eye socket down to my cheekbone. I called in sick to the flower shop. I didn't leave the house. I sat on my couch, twisting my wedding ring, thinking about what Vanessa had said. You're choosing it over your own son. Was I? No. I wasn't choosing a house over Marcus. I was choosing my dignity over being bullied. But I knew that's not how he'd see it. And I knew that's not how anyone else would see it either. So when the calendar reminder popped up on my phone, dinner at Vanessa's 6 p.m., I did what I've always done. I said yes. I spent 2 hours that morning trying to hide the bruise. I used concealer I'd bought at Walgreens, the cheap kind that goes on chalky and never quite matches your skin tone. I dabbed it over the purple and black, patted it with a sponge, layered on powder. It helped, but not enough. So I found the scarf. Silk, turquoise with pink roses, something I'd bought at a thrift store 5 years ago and never worn. I tied it around my neck, pulled it up over my jaw, positioned it so the edge just barely covered the bottom of the bruise. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked like an old woman trying to pretend she wasn't falling apart. I looked like my mother. The drive to Vanessa's took 20 minutes. I listened to NPR. They were talking about the election, something about swing states and early voting. I didn't care. I just needed the sound of voices so I wouldn't have to hear my own thoughts. When I pulled up to the building, I sat in my car for 5 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, trying to decide if I should just leave, drive home, text Marcus, and tell him I was sick, let him think I was weak, let him think I was selfish, but I didn't. Because I'm 67 years old, and I've spent my entire life showing up for people who don't show up for me, and apparently, I haven't learned my lesson yet. I took the elevator to the 14th floor. My hands were shaking. I twisted my wedding ring. I knocked on the door. Vanessa answered. She was wearing a black dress, heels, full makeup. She looked at my scarf and smiled. "Eleanor," she said, like we were old friends. "Happy birthday." I stepped inside. The apartment was full of people. 32, I counted later. Some I recognized. Marcus's co-workers, a couple of his college friends, my sister Diane and her husband. Some I didn't. Vanessa's friends probably, people who looked at me like I was the help. Marcus was in the kitchen pouring wine. He looked up when I walked in and smiled. "Mom," he said. He came over and hugged me. He smelled like cologne and red wine. "Happy birthday." "Thank you," I said. He pulled back and looked at me. His eyes went to the scarf. "Are you cold?" he asked. "A little," I lied. He didn't notice the bruise. Or if he did, he didn't say anything. Diane noticed. She was standing by the couch, holding a glass of white wine, wearing a cardigan that looked 2 sizes too small. She's my younger sister, 64, and she's spent her entire life resenting me for reasons I've never fully understood. Maybe because I got married first. Maybe because my husband made more money than hers. Maybe because I exist. She walked over, her eyes narrowing. "Eleanor," she said. "What happened to your face?" "Nothing," I said quickly. I bumped into a cabinet door." She stared at me. I could see her doing the math. "A cabinet door," she repeated. "Yes." She sipped her wine. "You should be more careful." She walked away. Dinner was catered. Italian food, the expensive kind, served on white plates that probably cost $50 each. There was a long table set up in the living room, candles, flowers. It looked like a magazine spread. I sat at the end of the table next to Diane. Marcus sat at the other end, next to Vanessa. He kept laughing at something one of his coworkers was saying. He looked happy. I picked at my pasta. I couldn't eat. My stomach was a knot. Halfway through the meal, Diane leaned over and whispered, "So, when are you going to sell the house?" I looked at her. "Excuse me?" "The house," she said. "Marcus told me you're finally coming around to the idea. It's about time, Eleanor. You don't need 3 bedrooms." "Marcus told you that?" She nodded. "He said you're going to sell and split the money. 40% for you, 30 for him, 30 for me. Family plan, right?" My blood went cold. "Diane," I said slowly, "I never agreed to that." Her face fell. "What do you mean?" "I mean I'm not selling my house." She stared at me. Then her expression hardened. "Eleanor, don't be ridiculous. That house is worth a fortune. You can't just sit on it while your family struggles." "My family," I said. "Diane, you and Jim own your house outright. You have retirement savings. You're not struggling. But Marcus is," she hissed. "And you're his mother. You're supposed to help him." "I have been helping him," I said. "Not enough." I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand up and tell everyone at that table that I'd been giving Marcus $1,800 a month for 2 years, that I'd bought his groceries every week for 5 years, that I'd paid for his car insurance, his phone bill, his credit card minimums when he couldn't make them, that I'd given him everything I had except the one thing I wouldn't give, my house. But I didn't, because I'm 67 years old, and I've learned that the truth doesn't set you free. It just makes people angrier. So I stayed quiet. After dinner, Vanessa brought out a cake. Chocolate, 3 layers, with white frosting and pink roses. It looked beautiful. Everyone gathered around the table. Marcus stood up and raised his glass. "To my mom," he said. 67 years of being the strongest woman I know. People clapped. I smiled. I felt the scarf slip. Just a little. Just enough. Diane saw it first. Her eyes widened. Then Marcus's co-worker, a woman named Jennifer. Then Vanessa. The room went quiet. Marcus looked at me. He looked at the scarf. He looked at the edge of the bruise, the purple and black peeking out from under the silk. "Mom," he said slowly, "what happened to your face?" I opened my mouth. I didn't know what to say. And then Vanessa laughed. It was a sharp, bright sound like glass breaking. "Oh my God," she said. You're really going to make this awkward, aren't you? Marcus looked at her. Vanessa, what? Your mom had a little accident, Vanessa said. She smiled at me. Didn't you, Eleanor? I stared at her. She got upset the other day, Vanessa continued. Her voice light, casual, like she was telling a funny story. Started yelling at me about the house situation. I told her she needed to calm down and she got physical. I had to defend myself. The room was dead silent. That's not true, I said. Isn't it? Vanessa said. She looked at Marcus. Baby, you know how she gets when she's stressed. Mom, Marcus said. His voice was tight. Did you? No, I said. Vanessa, tell them the truth. She shrugged. I just did. I felt my chest tighten. I looked around the room. Everyone was staring at me. Diane had her hand over her mouth. Jennifer looked uncomfortable. Marcus looked confused. Marcus, I said. She's lying. She shoved me. 2 days ago, Mom, Marcus said. His voice was louder now. Stop. I stopped. He looked at me, his face pale, his jaw tight. Vanessa wouldn't do that, he said. The words hit me like another shove. Marcus, she wouldn't, he said again. But you've been acting weird lately, paranoid, stressed. Maybe you did get upset. Maybe you don't remember. I remember, I said. Mom, just stop, okay? You're embarrassing yourself. He said it quietly, but everyone heard it. Vanessa smiled. Diane looked away, and I stood there, in front of 32 people, with a bruise around my eye, and a son who chose to believe a lie because the truth was too inconvenient. That's when I heard the door open. I didn't see him at first. I was staring at Marcus, trying to understand how I'd raised a man who could look at me like I was a stranger, like I was crazy, like I was nothing. But then I heard his voice. What the hell is going on here? It was my brother, Bobby. Robert Mitchell, 70 years old, 6'2", 230 pounds of muscle that's gone a little soft, but still knows how to take up space. He was wearing jeans and a flannel shirt, his gray hair sticking up like he'd been working in his garage, which he probably had been. He walked with a slight limp from an old injury, something that happened when he was a detective in the 80s and chased a suspect through a warehouse. He never talks about it. He stopped in the doorway, his eyes scanning the room. Then they landed on me, on the scarf, on the bruise. His face went hard. Eleanor, he said. What happened to your face? I started. She had an accident, Vanessa said quickly. She's fine. Bobby looked at her. Then he looked at Marcus. An accident, he repeated. Yeah, Marcus said. He sounded defensive. She got upset and what? Bobby said. His voice was low, dangerous. She punched herself in the face. Bobby, I said. It's fine. It's not fine, Bobby said. He walked over to me. He reached up and gently pulled the scarf down. The room went silent again. Bobby stared at the bruise. Then he looked at Vanessa. You did this, he said. It wasn't a question. I didn't, Vanessa started. Yes, you did, Bobby said. I can see it. Anyone with half a brain can see it. That's a shove bruise. I've seen 1,000 of them. Marcus stepped forward. Bobby, you can't just accuse... Bobby turned to him. I'd never seen him look at Marcus like that before, like he was disgusted. Your mother has a black eye, Bobby said slowly. And you're standing here defending the woman who gave it to her. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it. Bobby looked back at me. Eleanor, he said, get your coat. We're leaving. Now. I didn't argue. I grabbed my coat from the hook by the door. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get my arms through the sleeves. Bobby put his hand on my shoulder and steered me toward the door. As we stepped into the hallway, I heard Vanessa say, Well, that was dramatic. And then I heard Marcus laugh. Not a big laugh. Just a small one, nervous, like he was trying to diffuse the tension. But it was enough. Bobby stopped. He turned around. Marcus, he said. His voice was quiet now, almost gentle. Meet me outside in 5 minutes. Marcus looked confused. What? 5 minutes, Bobby repeated. Alone. Then he looked at Vanessa, and his expression changed into something I'd never seen before. "And you," Bobby said. "Start packing." I didn't sleep that night. Bobby drove me home in his truck, an old Ford F-150 that smelled like motor oil and coffee. He didn't say anything for the first 10 minutes, just drove, his jaw tight, his hands gripping the steering wheel like he was trying not to break it. Finally, he said, "How long?" "How long what?" "How long has she been hurting you?" I twisted my wedding ring. "It was just the once, Eleanor. I'm serious. 2 days ago. It was the first time." He glanced at me. "And you didn't tell anyone? What was I supposed to say? My daughter-in-law shoved me? You saw what happened. Marcus didn't believe me." Bobby's knuckles went white on the wheel. "Marcus is a coward. He's my son. He's a grown man who let his wife assault his mother and then laughed about it." I didn't have an answer for that. When we got to my house, Bobby parked but didn't turn off the engine. "I need to tell you something," he said. "And you're not going to like it." My stomach dropped. "What?" He reached into the back seat and pulled out a brown manila folder. He handed it to me. "I've been looking into Vanessa," he said, "for about 6 months now." "You've been... what? Why?" "Because I'm not an idiot, Eleanor. I saw how she looked at you at Christmas, how she talked to you. I knew something was wrong." I opened the folder. Inside were printed bank statements, photographs, handwritten notes in Bobby's blocky detective handwriting. "What is this?" I asked. "Vanessa's in debt," Bobby said. "Bad debt. $110,000 to unlicensed online lenders." The number hit me like cold water. "That's impossible," I said. "Marcus would have told me." "Marcus doesn't know. She's been hiding it. Gambling addiction, online poker, sports betting. She's been bleeding money for 2 years." I stared at the bank statements, withdrawals, cash advances, transfers to names I didn't recognize. "The house," I said slowly. "She wants my house to pay off her debts." Bobby nodded. "And your sister's in on it. Diane? The 30% cut?" "That was Vanessa's idea. She offered Diane a piece to get her on board, pressure you as a united front." I felt sick. "I'm meeting Marcus tomorrow," Bobby said. "I'm going to show him this, all of it. He needs to know who he married." "Bobby, no," he said firmly. "This ends now. You're not protecting him anymore." 2 days later, Vanessa showed up at my flower shop. I was arranging white roses when the door chimed. I looked up and saw her standing there, arms crossed, face hard. "We need to talk," she said. I set down the roses. My hands were shaking. "There's nothing to talk about, Vanessa." "Yes, there is." She walked to the counter. Bobby showed Marcus some papers. Lies. "I don't know what he told you, but..." $110,000, I said quietly. "Online gambling, Seattle loan sharks." Her face went pale, then red. "That's private," she hissed. "It's fraud," I said. "And you tried to steal my house to cover it." She leaned over the counter. "You don't understand. Those people, if I don't pay them, that's not my problem." Her expression changed. Cold, calculating. "Fine," she said. "Then I'll make sure Marcus never speaks to you again. I'll tell him you're trying to break us up, that you're jealous, controlling. He'll believe me, Eleanor. He always does." She turned and walked out. The door chimed. I stood there, alone in my shop, surrounded by flowers that would die in a week, and I realized something. This wasn't going to end quietly. That night, I found an envelope on my car windshield. Inside was a printed eviction notice template, blank, unsigned, but the message was clear. I sat in my car, staring at it, and I thought about what Bobby said. You can save him, or you can save yourself. You can't do both this time. I pulled out my phone and called a number I'd written down months ago but never used. A woman answered, Patterson and Associates. "Yes," I said. "I need to speak with someone about creating a trust." Bobby wanted to meet at Benson's Diner on 82nd Avenue, the kind of place where the coffee tastes like it was brewed yesterday and the waitresses call everyone Hon. We sat in a booth by the window. It was raining, the kind of gray drizzle Portland does 9 months out of the year. He ordered coffee. I ordered nothing. My stomach hadn't been right for days. "You look like hell," Bobby said. "Thanks." He slid the folder across the table. "Thicker now. More papers." "I got more," he said. "Bank statements going back 18 months, phone records, photos." I opened it slowly. The first page was a bank statement, Vanessa's name at the top. A balance of negative $4,200. "She's underwater," Bobby said. "Every account. Credit cards maxed. She's been taking cash advances to pay minimums. Classic debt spiral." I turned the page. A photograph. Grainy, taken from a distance. Vanessa standing outside a pharmacy on Sandy Boulevard, talking to a man in a black jacket. He was handing her something. She was handing him cash. "Who's that?" I asked. "Tommy Nguyen, small-time loan shark. Works out of Southeast. Charges 20% interest weekly. If you miss a payment, he adds fees. Miss 3 payments, he gets creative." Creative? Bobby's jaw tightened. "Let's just say Vanessa's lucky she's married to your son. These guys don't like messing with people who have family connections to law enforcement, even retired law enforcement." I stared at the photo. Vanessa looked scared in it. Small, nothing like the woman who'd shoved me into a doorframe. "How much does Marcus know?" I asked. "According to his bank records?" "Nothing. His accounts are separate, she's been careful, but she's been draining him dry in other ways." Bobby pulled out another paper, a spreadsheet he'd made himself, handwritten in pencil. "For the last 2 years, Marcus has been living above his means by about $3,000 a month. His salary is $72,000 a year before taxes. That's roughly $4,500 a month take-home. His rent alone is $2,800. Add car payment, insurance, utilities, food. He should be broke." "But he's not," I said slowly. "No, because someone's been giving him money." He looked at me. My face went hot. "How did you—" "Eleanor, I'm not stupid. I checked his bank records. $1,800 deposited every month like clockwork. Source listed as family support. That's you." I didn't deny it. "Why?" Bobby asked. "Why would you give him that much money and not tell him where it came from?" "Because he was struggling," I said. "After his father died, he went through a rough time. I wanted to help. You wanted to fix it. Is that wrong?" Bobby leaned back. "No, but it didn't fix anything. It just taught him he doesn't have to." I looked down at the spreadsheet, at the numbers that proved I'd been enabling my son's delusion for 2 years. "There's something else," Bobby said quietly. "Vanessa knows." My head snapped up. "What?" "She knows you're the one giving Marcus money. She figured it out 6 months ago. That's when the pressure started. The house, the family plan, all of it. She knows you have money, Eleanor, and she wants it." The rain outside got harder. I watched it streak down the window and thought about the day Marcus broke my favorite vase. He was 12. It was summer. We were at the house, the one I still live in, the one they want me to sell. Marcus was running through the living room with a basketball. I'd told him 100 times not to bring it inside, and he knocked over the vase on the side table. Blue ceramic, hand-painted, a wedding gift from my mother. It shattered into 6 pieces. Marcus stood there, staring at it, and then he started crying. Not fake crying, real crying, the kind that shakes your whole body. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I'll fix it, I promise. I'll fix it." I knelt down and hugged him. "It's okay, baby. It was an accident, but it was special. It was from Grandma." "I know, but things break sometimes. It's okay." He pulled back and looked at me with those big brown eyes, the same eyes his father had. "I'll fix it," he said again. "I promise." I glued it back together that night after he went to bed. It wasn't perfect. You could see the cracks, but I kept it anyway, put it back on the side table. Every time I looked at it, I thought about that promise. "I'll fix it, Mom, I promise." He never did learn that some things, once broken, can't be fixed. You can glue them back together, but the cracks are still there. "Eleanor," Bobby said, "are you listening?" I blinked. "Yeah, sorry." I said I can call my buddy at Portland PD. He can open an investigation into Vanessa. The loan shark, the gambling, the threats. They'll find something, they always do. And Marcus? Marcus gets caught in the crossfire. Maybe charges, maybe not. Depends on what they find. I felt my chest tighten. So I can save him or I can save myself. That's what you're saying. Bobby didn't answer. I'm his mother, I said. I know. If I do this, if I let you call the police, his life is over. His marriage, his job, everything. His life is already over, Bobby said gently. He just doesn't know it yet. Vanessa's going to drag him down whether you help or not. The only question is whether she drags you down too. I looked at the photo of Vanessa again, at the fear in her face. She's desperate, I said. Desperate people do desperate things, Bobby said. That bruise on your face? That's just the beginning. Next time it'll be worse. There won't be a next time. How do you know? I didn't. Bobby finished his coffee. He left a $5 bill on the table. You've got until Friday to decide, he said. After that, I'm making the call. With or without your permission. He stood up, put his hand on my shoulder. I love Marcus, he said, but I love you more, and I'm not watching you get hurt again. He left. I sat there for another hour, staring at the folder, at the photos, at the evidence of my son's life falling apart. And I realized something. Bobby was right. I couldn't save Marcus, but I could save myself. I didn't wait until Friday. Wednesday morning, I walked into Patterson and Associates wearing the same black slacks and cardigan I'd worn to my husband's funeral 8 years ago. The lawyer's name was Sarah Chen. 40-something, sharp eyes, expensive suit. She looked at me like she was trying to figure out if I could afford her. Mrs. Hayes, she said, what can I do for you? I pulled out the folder Bobby had given me, set it on her desk. I need to put my house in an irrevocable trust, I said. Today. She raised an eyebrow. That's a significant decision. May I ask why the urgency? My son's wife is trying to force me to sell it. I need to make sure that's not possible. Sarah opened the folder, scanned the papers. Her expression didn't change, but I saw her pause on the photo of Vanessa with the loan shark. I see, she said. And your son, does he know you're doing this? No. He'll contest it. Let him try. Sarah looked at me for a long moment. Then she closed the folder. I can have the documents ready by end of day, she said. But I need to ask, who do you want as trustee? My brother, Robert Mitchell. And beneficiaries? I hesitated. No one. When I die, the house goes to charity. Sarah's pen stopped moving. Mrs. Hayes, that means your son won't inherit anything. I know. She studied me. Are you sure? I thought about Marcus laughing at Vanessa's birthday party, about the vase he'd promised to fix, about $1,800 a month for 2 years, and not once, not one single time had he said thank you. I'm sure, I said. That afternoon I went to the bank, closed the account I'd been using to send Marcus money, opened a new one at a different bank, one he didn't know about, moved $150,000 from my savings. The teller was a young woman with purple hair and kind eyes. Big move, she said, trying to make conversation. Yes, I said. New house? New life. She smiled like she understood. I didn't tell her that for the first time in 8 years. I felt like I could breathe. The karma started small. Thursday morning, Vanessa got a phone call. I know because Marcus called me an hour later, panicked. Mom, he said, something's wrong. Vanessa's freaking out. Someone called her about debts. She won't tell me what's going on. I don't know anything about that, I said, which was technically true. What I did know was that Bobby had called Tommy and Nguyen's office, not to threaten, just to ask questions. Very specific questions about a certain blonde woman who owed money. Questions that made Tommy's people nervous. Nervous enough to start making calls. She's saying someone's harassing her, Marcus continued. Mom, did I what? Silence. Never mind, he said. He hung up. Friday, Vanessa showed up at the flower shop again. This time she didn't look angry. She looked scared. Eleanor, she said, I need your help. I kept arranging tulips, didn't look at her. I'm being harassed, she said. Someone's been calling my creditors, asking questions, making threats. That sounds stressful. It's Bobby, isn't it? He's doing this. I set down the tulips, looked at her. Vanessa, if you owe people money, that's between you and them. You know, she said, her voice cracked. You know about the gambling. I know a lot of things. Her hands were shaking. Those people, if I don't pay them, then pay them. With what? She shouted. We don't have anything. That's why we need… My house, I finished. You need my house so you can sell it and pay off your loan sharks and pretend none of this ever happened. She didn't deny it. Here's what's going to happen, I said quietly. You're going to leave. You're going to figure out your own problems. And you're never going to come near me again. Or what? Or Bobby makes a phone call to his friends at Portland PD, and we see how long it takes them to connect you to illegal gambling operations. Her face went white. You wouldn't. Try me. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she left. The door chimed. I went back to my tulips. Saturday. Marcus called. Mom, we need to talk. Family meeting. Tomorrow. Diane's house. I'm not coming. Yes, you are. This is serious. Then you should have taken it seriously when your wife put her hands on me. Silence. Bobby told me about the trust, Marcus said finally. His voice was cold. You cut me out. Your own son. I protected myself from being manipulated. That's not fair. Neither was laughing while Vanessa lied about giving me a black eye. He hung up. I sat on my couch that night twisting my wedding ring, and I realized I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Sunday morning, Bobby called. They want a meeting, he said. All of them. Diane's house. 2:00. I know, Marcus called. Are you going? I thought about it. About walking into a room full of people who wanted to take everything from me. About facing my son, my sister, my daughter-in-law. Yes, I said, but only if you're there. I'll pick you up at 1:30. Diane's house smelled like burnt coffee and artificial lavender. She'd always been like that, covering up problems instead of fixing them. They were all waiting in the dining room, Marcus and Vanessa on one side of the table, Diane and her husband Jim on the other, an empty chair at the head. For me, apparently. Bobby stood by the door, arms crossed. Nobody had invited him to sit. Eleanor, Diane said when I walked in. Her voice had that fake sweetness she uses when she wants something. Thank you for coming. I didn't sit. Let's get this over with. Marcus stood up. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes. Wrinkled shirt. Mom, this has gone far enough. You need to listen to reason. Reason? The house, Vanessa said. She wasn't looking at me. You're being selfish. We're family. Family helps each other. I almost laughed. Like you helped me by shoving me into a doorframe? That was an accident, she said automatically. No, Bobby said from the doorway. It wasn't. Everyone turned to look at him. He walked to the table, dropped the brown folder in the center. It landed with a heavy thud. What's that? Diane asked. The truth, Bobby said. About what Vanessa's really been doing. Vanessa's face went pale. Bobby, don't… $110,000, Bobby said, looking at Marcus. That's how much your wife owes to loan sharks in Seattle. The room went silent. Marcus stared at Vanessa. What? Online gambling, Bobby continued. Poker, sports betting. She's been bleeding money for 2 years, and she's been hiding it from you. That's a lie, Vanessa said, but her voice shook. Bobby opened the folder, pulled out bank statements, spread them across the table. These are her accounts, he said. Negative balances, cash advances. Look at the dates. Marcus picked up a statement. His hands were trembling. Vanessa, he said quietly. Is this real? She didn't answer. Is this real? He shouted. Yes, she screamed back. Yes, okay, I have a problem. I needed help. But you wouldn't understand. You were too busy being Mommy's perfect little boy. Marcus recoiled like she'd slapped him. Bobby pulled out the photograph. Vanessa with Tommy and Nguyen outside the pharmacy. She's been meeting with an unlicensed lender, Bobby said. 20% interest, weekly. If she doesn't pay, these people get violent. Oh my God, Marcus whispered. And the house? Bobby looked at Diane. The family plan? That was Vanessa's idea. She offered you 30% to pressure Eleanor into selling. You were never getting that money, Diane. It was going straight to the loan sharks. Diane's face went red. That's not... I didn't... Yes, you did, Bobby said. You sold out your sister for money you were never going to see. Jim stood up suddenly. I didn't know about this, Eleanor. I swear. Sit down, Jim, Diane hissed. No, he said. We're leaving. I'm not part of this. He walked out. Diane sat there, frozen. Marcus was still staring at the bank statements. Mom, he said. His voice cracked. Did you know? Bobby told me last week, I said. And you didn't tell me? Would you have believed me? He didn't answer, because we both knew he wouldn't have. Vanessa stood up. This is insane. You people are insane. Marcus, we're leaving. No, Marcus said. She stopped. I'm not leaving, Marcus said. He looked at her, really looked at her. You lied to me for 2 years. You've been gambling away money we don't have. You physically hurt my mother and blamed her for it. And you tried to steal her house. I was trying to save us, Vanessa said. From what? From your own mistakes? You don't understand the pressure I was under. Because you were too much of a coward to tell me the truth, Marcus shouted. He turned to me. His eyes were red. Mom, he said. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know about the gambling, about the loan sharks, any of it. But you knew she hurt me, I said quietly. You saw the bruise, and you laughed. His face crumpled. I wasn't laughing at you. I was nervous. I didn't know what to do. You could have stood up for me. I know. Tears ran down his face. I know, and I'll never forgive myself for that. Vanessa grabbed her purse. I'm not listening to this anymore. Marcus, if you're not coming with me right now, we're done. Marcus looked at her, then at me. Then we're done, he said. Vanessa stared at him. Then she turned and walked out. The door slammed. The silence that followed was deafening. Diane stood up. Eleanor, I didn't know it was that bad. You thought you'd get easy money by betraying your sister, I said. Don't pretend this is anything else. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're just sorry you got caught. I looked at Bobby. Can we go now? He nodded. As we walked to the door, Marcus called out, Mom, wait. I stopped. Didn't turn around. Can I come see you? He asked. Next week? There's so much I need to say. I looked at Bobby. He gave me the smallest nod. I'll think about it, I said. We left. In the truck, Bobby said, You okay? I thought about Marcus's face when he finally chose, when he finally stood up. I don't know yet, I said. He's going to try to fix it, Bobby said. You know that, right? He's going to apologize and beg and promise to be better. I know. Are you going to let him? I watched the rain streak down the windshield. I don't know that either, I said. But for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. 3 months later, winter in Portland means gray skies and rain that never quite stops. But that morning in January, there was a break in the clouds. Pale sunlight came through my kitchen window while I drank coffee and read the newspaper like I used to before everything fell apart. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Therapy appointment confirmed. Tuesday at 4. Would you come with me next month? I stared at the message. Didn't reply. Not yet. After the meeting at Diane's house, Vanessa filed for divorce. Marcus moved into a studio apartment in Beaverton, the kind of place with thin walls and a shared laundry room. He got a job doing property management for a rental company, $45,000 a year, no prestige, no corner office. He called me once a week, usually Sundays. At first I didn't answer, then Bobby told me I should at least listen. He's trying, Bobby said. That's more than most people do. So I started answering, Short conversations, 5 minutes, maybe 10. He'd tell me about his week, his therapy sessions, the things he was learning about himself. I'd listen. Sometimes I'd say, "That's good, Marcus." Sometimes I said nothing at all. He never asked for money. Never asked to move back home. Never made excuses. 2 weeks ago, he asked if he could come over. I said yes. He showed up with a bag from the hardware store. Inside were gardening gloves, tulip bulbs, a small trowel. "I remember Dad loved tulips," he said. "I thought maybe we could plant some in the backyard." I almost said no. Almost told him it was too cold, too late in the season, that tulips planted in January rarely bloomed. But I didn't. We went to the backyard together. The ground was soft from the rain. We knelt in the dirt, side by side, and dug small holes for the bulbs. "I've been thinking about that vase," Marcus said after a while. "The one I broke when I was 12. I kept digging. What about it? I promised I'd fix it, but I never did. You fixed it yourself." "It was just a vase, Marcus." "No, it wasn't." He set down the trowel. "I've spent my whole life making promises I didn't keep. Telling you I'd be better, I'd do better. And then just waiting for you to fix everything." I didn't argue. "I don't know if you can ever forgive me," he said. His voice shook. "For the bruise. For not standing up for you. For letting Vanessa. For everything. But I need you to know I'm trying. Really trying this time." I placed a tulip bulb in the ground, covered it with dirt. "Marcus," I said, "I'm not going to tell you it's okay, because it's not. You let someone hurt me. You chose her over me, and that's something I have to live with. I know. But..." I looked at him. "I'm willing to see if you can become someone I can trust again. That's all I can give you right now." His eyes filled with tears. "That's more than I deserve." "Yes," I said, "it is." We planted the rest of the bulbs in silence. Diane never apologized. She sent a Christmas card with a generic message about family bonds. I threw it away. Jim divorced her in November. I heard through Bobby that she's living with their daughter now, telling anyone who'll listen that I turned the family against her. I don't care. Vanessa's story ended the way these stories always do. Bobby told me she tried to flee to California after the divorce. Made it as far as Eugene before Tommy Nguyen's people caught up with her. They didn't hurt her. Bobby made sure of that by having a quiet conversation with Tommy about legal complications if anything happened to her. Instead, they negotiated. Someone paid $30,000 to settle her debts. Not all of it. Just enough to make the loan sharks go away. Vanessa never found out who. I did it through Bobby, anonymously, because despite everything, I couldn't stomach the thought of her getting hurt. Not because she deserved my mercy, but because I deserved my peace. Call it karma. Call it irony. I call it the cost of being able to sleep at night. She's in Los Angeles now, working retail. I don't think about her much anymore. Last week I was at the flower shop arranging white roses when a customer asked, "Are those for a funeral?" I looked at the roses, thought about all the things I'd buried in the last 3 months. My old life, my old fears. The version of myself who stayed silent when people hurt her. "No," I said. "They're for a new beginning." The customer smiled like she understood. Maybe she did. That night, Marcus texted again. "Therapy appointment confirmed. Tuesday at 4. Would you come with me next month?" I sat on my couch, twisting my wedding ring, except I wasn't twisting it anymore. I'd stopped doing that sometime in December. Stopped needing to. I typed back, "I'll think about it." Then I deleted it. Typed, "Maybe." Deleted that too. Finally, I wrote, "Ask me again in February." I hit send. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, "Thank you, Mom. I love you." I stared at those words for a long time. Then I turned off my phone, made tea, and sat by the window watching the rain. The tulip bulbs were in the ground. Whether they'd bloom in spring, I didn't know. But I'd planted them, and that was enough.